Now, remember, we are coming to you live from our HQs in Nairobi, Kenya's capital, particularly at the Jamia Mosque. And your inspiration for the day is be patient. Allah knows what is best for you and when it is best that you have it. Now, remember, for you at home, you can join in the conversation through our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter handles at Horizontv Kenya and our SMS line at 21951. Now, gentlemen, let's start with the headlines, and we'll start with the Daily Nation and a sad story really that has been shared on the other headlines as well. Confession, how they were killed in cold blood. Now, how a request from an administration police officer seeking help with a man pursuing him in court over a shooting ended in kidnap and brutal killing of a lawyer, his client, and taxi driver. Now, Keegan, this is a story that dates back in 2016. A story of a guy who had a case against an officer, and he was working with IPOA so that this officer would be dismissed. So they found a solution to murder this person, and they brought this guy who was confessing, and it really tells the story of how difficult it is when a normal person is fighting against those in the law forces. And the question is, are we really safe if something like this is happening? Because they didn't just kill the person who had a case, they killed an innocent taxi driver and a lawyer while at it. Keegan.
First of all, it's this is a horrific tragedy, and I can only imagine what the family of those victims are going through right now, with all this unfolding. And I really wonder, these are the police are people who are mandated to protect us, and if this is coming from them, it's very heartbreaking. And we have to come back to the fact that in as much as the police officers are enforcers of the law, they are not above the law in any case. And sometimes when you interact with some police officers, I wouldn't want to generalize, because we have some very good policemen, who are out there to serve people, and their hearts are out there for the people. But we have a percentage of our police officers, who are full of arrogance, and they believe that them being enforcers of the law, they are above the law, and you can't do anything to them per se, because you are a citizen and you are nothing, more than that. And this is something that really needs to change. And I'm glad that we are finally coming to the closure of this case. And for the family, I'm sure, it hasn't been easy, because this is an incident that happened in 2016, yes. And this is 2019, that's 3 years later. And, the family feels as if, justice has been denied, because justice delayed is justice denied.
True. Now, Bivon, you see, this is a case that has taken 3 years, and the family is devastated. But as a normal mwananchi or a normal person who's having a case against those in the law, would you consider, after seeing a story like this, going to report a case against a police officer?
I believe this is an eye-opener to Kenyans, that Kenyans are on their own.
Yeah.
Because, you see, 3 years down the line, we lost a serious lawyer, we lost a taxi driver, an innocent one, and we lost the person who had the case. This is a show that we're not doing well as a country, especially when we have issues involving those in the law enforcement arm. Yeah, so something should be done about that, so that many other cases, because such a confession, I don't know what the law has about people who have come out to openly confess, but such confessions could be one out of so many other cases that are out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in the Standard, it gives an account of what happened. It starts from the recruitment, where Peter Ngugi was recruited as a police informer in 2011 to assist with the crime information around Kabete. Planning, in 2016, Ngugi meets Senior Sergeant Frederick Leliman in Lolongo, who asks for his help in dealing with the border operator working with IPOA. Trailing, Ngugi trails the border operator to court and informs Leliman when the session is over. Fake arrest. These people are arrested in a fake manner. Through Leonard Mwangi, Leliman executes the arrest of Willie Kimani, his client, and a taxi driver. And then they came to the arguing part. Ngugi says they argued for 3 hours whether execution of the three was necessary, because one of the suspects had contacted his wife. And then the execution, the three were strangled separately put in sacks and thrown into the Oldonyo Sabuk River. I mean, let's start with the arresting part, fake arrest. How important is it that we as Kenyans now know our rights as far as being arrested is concerned? Because I come to you and arrest you, and because you're a police officer, I agree because either I'm afraid or I don't know what is happening. Keegan.
First of all, it's true that we Kenyans, majority of us, we don't know our rights in terms of being arrested. We don't know even the process of somebody being arrested. Kenyans don't understand it articulately. You know, we don't know what the police officer is supposed to tell you, where the police officer is supposed to take you, on what grounds are you supposed to be arrested, you know, and such kind of things. But you know, this has been inspired and motivated particularly by the fact that when you are, you know, let's be realistic, you know, let's take a typical case. When you've been arrested by a police officer, when a police officer comes to arrest you for that matter, and when you start saying, you start just mention the word, you're right, you know, the police officers, they take it as if, you know, this is somebody, this is an objection, you know, this is somebody who wants to go, you know, who is opposing me, who wants, you know, antaka kuleta kichwa, as they say. And that is the perception that the police have taken in when somebody says he knows his rights, you know, he asks, why are you arresting me? When you raise such kind of questions, the police take it, you know, in a very bad way, and you know, and they start, you know, even harassing you. And that's why many people, when they are arrested, they're just arrested. You know, what can you do? You know, you're just vulnerable. You can't do much, because when you say anything, you ask the policeman, why are you arresting me? The policeman, he can even kill you. We've had cases where people have been extrajudicial killings, you know, and I feel like IPOA needs to do more, you know, but in as much as IPOA needs to do more, I think we also have to do more as the citizens, because we have to report these cases, and it's not going to be easy, but I think we really have to change this culture because of the rogue police.
But then again, it comes down to a point where you reported a case, nothing is happening. You report again, nothing is happening. It honestly feels like we are fighting a losing battle, Keegan. I don't
understand why. You know, these policemen, at the end of the day, they are Kenyans like us, you know. They are human beings. They have families, and they have friends, you know, who are not even police, you know, part of the citizenry. And I really feel this is really heartbreaking. And until we fix that disconnect between the police officers and the citizens, the police can never, there is no way the security is gonna work 100%, because this is the same case that is happening in Mombasa. Because some people, they go and some people who have the gangsters in Mombasa, these machete wielding gangs, are known, the members of those gangs. And when the community goes out there and reports to the police, you find that the police even works with these gangsters, that when you've reported somebody, you find that the gangs come and attack you. While you reported it anonymously, you wonder who told these gangs that I'm the one who reported them.
Okay. Now, Bivon, the fact that these people were discussing whether or not to execute this one of these people because one of the suspects had contacted his wife, I mean, goes a long way to tell whether the little amount of care that we give towards the life of a person. Because if we have come down to the point of we're discussing whether I should execute somebody because they've contacted their wives or not, and then we go ahead and execute them and then toss their bodies in a river after putting them in sacks, I mean,
it's a sad tale, and I believe as a country there is a culture that we need to change, because you see, we need to be a little bit human, because any human being born out of a woman should not even imagine of killing someone at any cost, because life is precious. It has no, you cannot equate any amount of money to a human being's life. But you can see, I believe such confessions that are now coming out from the police informer, from those who were involved in the whole exercise, and if you see on the amount of money they were given, it was just a little amount of money. I don't know what could be the cause within the police force, but most of the police men or women who are involved in crime, normally after making confessions, they've always made it look like it's because of the poor pay that now they're giving out a try on a different mode of hustle for them to upkeep their families. But I don't believe there is anything that can warrant someone to kill a fellow human being at any cost. So I believe that is a wrong culture. IPOA now should create better platforms for citizen engagement. Then they should now bring up best ways to protect those who are coming out to give out testimonials on what could be possibly happening or what has just happened. That would be the right direction, because many citizens have things they believe they can report to the police. But because of the security and how things are done in this country, they believe that they better not say, because their life or the lives of their families are always in danger.
Okay.
Yes.
And when you take a look at the People Daily, the headline reads, "We ate and drank after killing city lawyer Kimani." Kigen, you've just murdered somebody, not one person, not two people, 3 innocent lives. And you come from that and then you go and eat and drink after you've done. I mean, does it say that we lack heart or we lack emotions, or what does it speak about our police officers?
You know, that sounds like a celebration, and I am sure the money they were eating and drinking with was some money they had taken as bribes from somebody, just harassed somebody and gotten money from them. And you know, that kind of a scenario, you know, it's really appalling, you know. So these are the people who are using state resources, who are, I'm sure they carried the bodies even with government cars. You know, this is just misuse of state resources that is supposed to be invested, you know, with the aim of protecting the citizens, and it's now being used, you know, to destroy us citizens. And let me tell you, a government that is at war with its people, you know, it's the end of the government. You either control the government or the government controls you.
Right. And what would you say are the suggestive measures that would help us, both the citizens and the police, to work in a bit, to have a conducive working environment? Because if we are scared, we don't report. If they don't feel like they're being paid well, they look for other means of sourcing for income.
You know, when it comes to pay, that is a different conversation altogether, because you give a son of man a value of gold, he's going to need another one. You know, you can't, greed is insatiable, you know. But coming to the issue of trying to find, you know, to bridge the gap between the police and the communities, I have been in spaces where I have worked with Kayole Justice Center, you know, and Mathare Justice Center, many justice centers. I have been in conversations where we have called the police, we have brought the police on board, we've told them, please come, let's have meetings, let's discuss, you know, with these issues, because there are allegations by people claiming of harassment and such cases, where we have a conversation and set a way forward so that we can work together to reduce this crime. Because at the end of the day, our objective is the same. You don't want crime, we don't want crime. But let's look for a, you know, a way that is convenient for both of us, where we won't have aggrieved parties. But let me tell you, to the shock of this, the police even don't come to those meetings that you've invited them. So if I don't come to the meeting in the first place, how can we discuss?
Okay. Abivon, suggestive measures as well?
My idea is senior police officers have always been caught in the mix, because if you realize, there is no way a police vehicle can get out of a police station without instructions from possibly the head of such as a station. Now, the people who the government should protect using police officers themselves feel they're not involved in the process of assisting the police in you know, getting hold of those who doing crime and the criminals within a certain area. Now, my idea on what should be done to make the police or the government officers in charge of security and the people they tend or believe to protect is, one, we should have more public engagement forums. Because you see, if I even don't know you're the police officer within my location, how do I agree to even have my hands together for a handcuff? I even don't know you. Number two, if the police were more friendly, because if you look at the rankings of Kenyan police in brutality across the world, we rank very highly in terms of policemen and women harassing citizens. You've seen cases like in the tourists who are harassed in Narok. These are people who've come to the country believing that the same way their countries are using policemen and women for protection, they're expecting the same in a country like Kenya, a serious country in matters of building up development. So I believe if we have more of public engagement forums with the police officers and law enforcement officers, the Ministry of Interior and all the involved organizations, societies should now come up with better measures to have the people themselves run the show. Because you see, if it is an area where we know who criminals are, there is no way we're going to say out the criminals, because we believe if I report a criminal, the next time my head will be cut. So if we have more public engagement forums and sessions, that will build up the trust between the people and the police officers.
Okay. Keegan, 3 years is exactly how long this case took to be brought down to justice. And can we call it justice delayed or the long wait?
You know, first of all, that when you've just raised that issue, you know, it has ticked my mind on the problem we have at the judiciary. You know, the problem at the judiciary is there is limited human resource there. You know, I think a month or two ago we looked at one of the stories inside the Standard, and it was an issue where in the High Court and other various courts, there is the magistrates. We have magistrates who are working, majority of the magistrates are working, you know, on part-time, are not available full-time. Some are lecturers, professors. The few that we have who are full-time are very few, you know, in relation to the cases that we have. So you look at the magistrate to the amount of cases, the ratio, you know, it's not making sense. It's a lot, and I feel the government has to do a lot in that. And you know, I have to assign responsibility to this to the government, because you know, in 2017, the wake of the elections and the drama unfolded, there were some claims that we will revisit some things, and the judiciary got a hit in the budget. And so the judiciary has not been able, you know, to deliver as it is in terms of the human resource. And it's something that we really should address, because these cases should not be taking this long.
Okay, now let's move away from that story, and we surely hope that the families will have their justice brought to them. Now, on the Business Daily, the headline reads, "Bank customers shun agents for digital apps." Now, a survey by InfoTrack shows that clients have higher affinity to mobile platforms, but still want lenders to maintain a physical presence. Now, we'll take a break, but when we come back, we will be discussing this. You are still watching the Sabah Show with me, your host, Yusuf Farah. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah Show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV.
Akawa Abdul Muttalib ampenda sana Mtume sallam hata kushinda watoto wake. Na Abdul Muttalib, Mtume Muhammad sallam alikuwa ni mjukuu wake. Abu Talib na babake Mtume sallam dimba ndugu, tumbo moja, mama moja, baba moja. Baada ya miaka miwili Abdul Muttalib kufa, alipofika miaka 10, wakaamua kufunga safari kwenda Sham, kwenda kufanya biashara. Faqala rahib, huyu mtoto akifika akionekana dola ya Rum watamuua. Akaamua kurudi kuweza kuishi katika mji wa Makka kwa mara nyingine.
Abu Najma with kids. We learn Quran, we learn Quran, we learn Quran, we learn Quran, we learn Hadith, we learn Hadith, we learn Hadith, we learn Hadith, we learn the duas, we learn the duas, we learn the duas, we learn the duas. us. We love a prophet. We love a prophet. We love a prophet. We love a prophet. Abu Najma with kids. Abu Najma with kids. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn Quran. We learn.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah Show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. Welcome back to the Sabah Show with me, your host Yusuf Farah. We are still on the newspaper review now. If you have comments, opinion and suggestions, you can send them through our social media handles, that is Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at Horizontv Kenya, or our SMS line 21951. Now, before the break, we were discussing this story on the Business Daily headline that read, "Bank customers shun agents for digital apps." Now, survey by Infotrack shows that clients have higher affinity for mobile platforms but still want lenders to maintain physical presence. Keegan, we want to use online platforms for our transactions, sending money, paying bills, but when it comes to lending, we still want to see people physically. Is it that we are scared of being stolen from, or what?
You know, technological advancement is something that the most you can do about it is control it for some time, but you can never do away with it. You know, it's a force to reckon with. Yeah. And we've seen companies, you know, big companies that, you know, were taken out, you know, by some very small technological advancements. And this is a question of, simply a question of efficiency, because, I mean, if I can access my bank and my account to my with my phone, what is the need of me, you know, going to a physical place? You know, it's a very simple question. And I think for the banks really still want people to go to their for especially for big loans, because some of the apps for the banks, they give loans up to $1 million through the phone, and it's only $1 million and above where you have to go, you know, to their physical premises. And you know, this is just I think it's a precaution, because even if you are the person lending, you wouldn't want to give, you know, such kind of money to a person that you don't know well and you don't understand their business or the kind of job they do well. You know, it's just a security issue. But there's something I want to say. You know, Kenyans, we are doing so great, especially in relation to other African countries. There are some African countries that even their revenue authority is not fully automated as it is in Kenya. So we in Kenya, I really want to applaud you know, the citizens and the government for the technological advancements that we are upholding. And I would like to encourage my fellow young people, as I've always done, that the technological space is our space. And you know, our seniors, they don't understand much of this space, and the most they can just tell us is just do your thing, you know, just do your thing. True. So it's a very nice thing.
All right, now let's move to in-depth stories now, and we'll start with the Daily Nation, page 3. World holds its breath as Kipchoge goes for a groundbreaking record. In one of the most daring attempts ever, marathon maestro seeks to run race in under 2 hours. Bivon, do you think he'll make it?
I believe he has trained enough, and you see, Kenyans, we known for beating world champions in athletics. And you see, if you realize, with international figures who've managed to stake in billions of money in a competition to see the win and the lose of Kipchoge Keino. So I believe he has trained enough, and he'll make the country very proud. Okay,
Keegan, how important is it that we show support for Kipchoge as he goes to take on this world record?
I mean, we have to show support, you know, how they say tupende ama tusipende. I mean, this guy, you know, some doctors are saying that if Kipchoge runs below 2 hours, there is a high possibility he can even die. This thing is not a joke. Yeah. The guy can finish the race, you know, and collapse, God forbid. Yeah. But yesterday he left on a private jet, you know, from Eldoret. to Vienna in Austria. And this Saturday, you know, it's going to be a breathtaking event. The planners of the event are yet to give us the exact timings. You know, they are still checking the weather and so such stuff. Kipchoge is having a total of 41 pacemakers. You know, for every kilometer, he has somebody who's gonna push him, you know, until the last kilometer where he'll go by himself. So because it's a 42-kilometer race and he has 41 pacemakers. So it's going to be a breathtaking event. When you go to Eldoret, it's you know, the mood has already built up, you know, the emotions are high. Yeah. You can see in some of the cars, the rear windows, they've put 159. You know, people are really excited. And I think this is going to be inspirations to Kenyans. You know, this is the first time a human being is trying this thing, not a Kenyan, not an African. So this is an inspiration to the world, to anybody, to the watchmen, to the CEOs, that anything can be done. You can break that barrier where people are seeing obstacles. You know, for you, it's something that can step you up to another level.
Okay, now moving on from that to the standard on page 9, health matters. Alarm as more medics seek solace in alcohol. Now, prevalence of drugs abuse among medical professionals is higher than among general public, says scholar. Now, it says here, some medics are turning to drugs and alcohol abuse to manage stress. Bivon, is it a question of how we are paying them badly? Is it a question of the countless strikes that they're having? Or is it a general question of stress and stress management?
My brother, if you look at every other elderly person will always tell you work hard and you become a doctor. Yeah. Normally, those who take medicine are people who have excelled nicely from both high school and primary or lower level schools. Then they proceed to university and they pursue a 5 or 6 year course to become medics. Now, if you look at the recent cases, like in my hometown, there was a case around a month ago where a drunk doctor managed to cut the head or really the skin of a newborn baby because he was high or he was drunk. So you can imagine cases of medics involving or indulging in alcoholic issues and matters are in the rise. And you see, I really don't believe it's more of doing this for purposes of maintaining or keeping out stress, but something needs to be done. You see, the country or everyone relies on medics for professional advice when your health is at stake. So you can imagine what will happen to all of us, because they say an healthy nation is a wealthy nation. So if anything happens to the medical fraternity, you can imagine what will happen to every other person, because our health can change depending on the weather, on how we're feeling and stuff. So something needs to be done. And when a scholar has done a research and come up with a finding that most of the people in that industry are now making sure that anytime they get out of the office, they drive into a drinking den and, you know, have merry for period. And you realize families of these professionals in the medical world, I don't know, it's because the juggling in between their work and social life is a bit of a problem. So mostly they end up indulging in alcoholic activities. But I believe something should be done. The government should take a caution, because anything happens to the medical fraternity, we're in a mess as a country.
Yusuf, yes. You know, the Professor Lukoya Atwoli says that 35% of the medics are lifetime drinkers, you know, from the age of 15 to 65. And, you know, this is horrific, because these are the people who are supposed to treat us. You know, surgery is not a joke. You have to be meticulous, and the kind of keenness that you have to draw is nothing short of 100%. And, you know, somebody being an alcoholic, you know, may God help us. But again, coming back to this thing, in the south of last year, I was in Kenyatta National Hospital for around 4 hours, and I was transversing the different wards, and the thing that I saw, you know, I had a hard time sleeping, and I was imagining now the doctors who this is their career, they come across such kind, the burns, the people dying, you know, and such kind of events, you know, you have to be strong mentally, you know, you have to be mentally prepared.
Yeah.
And not everybody is mentally strong, and you find that some doctors, this hits them hard, and you know, they now deflect to, you know, to seek solace in drugs and alcohol, as it has been mentioned. And I think now sometimes I think that mostly we usually say that like for example, in the psychiatry departments, you know, a doctor doesn't need, you know, how a doctor doesn't need to be treated, you know. A doctor is the one who treats people, and that is the kind of mentality that you know is sitting around, and we really need to disband that kind of thinking. I think now the psychiatric departments should be full of doctors as patients.
Okay, now moving on to page 25 of the Star. Search mounted for 8 children lost in forest. Now, a search has been mounted for 8 children who are reportedly missing after they failed to return home from a hunting trip in a forest in Kizingitini Island in Lamu. And it says here the children are aged between 7 and 13 years. Now, you can imagine between 7 and 13, this is something we used to do as young people, get our catapults and go hunting. But how important is it that we have adults accompany us as we go for these hunting trips to prevent people getting lost?
I think now the generations are changing. The world is changing, and most of the traditions are changing. Now, it's sad that 8 children, young kids, cannot be traced several days after getting lost. I believe and I pray for the families, and I pray that the kids are found, and I believe now adults from various communities should now come up with a methodology on how they could even escort or have methods of monitoring where the kids are, because you see, as young kids, you need to go out and play and have fun, maybe during the weekends as you start the new week. So I believe as a community within several areas, depending on how your traditions are, something should be done so that adults can be accompanying the kids to the hunting escapades or much more.
Yes, today now it will get to 48 hours today, because the report states that they went missing on Sunday, and today will be 48 hours, you know, because they were children, an uproar was raised even before it got to 48 hours according to the law. But let's be realistic for a moment. You know, parents cannot accompany children, you know, when they're going out there to play and hunt. It's quite unrealistic, you know. That is in Lamu East, and it's different from what happens in Nairobi, where, you know, we have children just on PlayStation. They don't even hunt.
Yeah.
But the thing is this, I think in as much as these children of that age, especially boys, you know, they are so adventurous, the parents should create limits for these children and tell them that you are supposed to be back by this time, and you are not supposed to go past this place and this place.
Yeah.
I think that is the way forward.
But then we are talking about a forest here. The fathers, you say, they don't really need much accompaniment from the adults. You know, while we were growing, we're talking about forests that have thickets, and there's the ocean is passing around there. Yeah. It's something that is very vital, because we're talking about the lives of minors, 7 to 13. Yes. I mean, the time I used to go hunting, I was plus 14 with my catapult. But then we're seeing 7-year-olds to 13-year-olds going to hunt. I believe that it is vital for them to be accompanied by adults. That is true.
Yeah, but I'm now talking about the realisticness of it, because these kids, they go hunting every weekend, by the way, that, according to the report. Yeah. And what they do is that they leave on Saturday, they come back in the evening, they again go tomorrow on Sunday. You can't, you know, I'm just being realistic. A father can't be going to work, then on Saturday says, no, I'm not going to work. Now let me take my kids and go to them for hunting.
Again, something can be done at community level. You know, like we have community policing systems, own systems within the said community or many other communities. So something can be done within, an arrangement can be done with the elders, with the people of the community. Not really escorting them directly, but at least having a method to monitor the movements within the forest. Yes. Because if an adult sees danger, he can always advise and know, out of the 8 kids, I'm able to trace 5. So 3 more are missing, and, you know, something can be done.
Yes. Yeah. Now let's move on back to the corridors of health, page 7 of the People Daily. They gave me HIV-infected blood during pregnancy, the woman claims. Now, this is a case of a lady who went to give birth, and during that time she was advised to take she was advised to have blood transfusion. But the problem is she's complaining that the blood did not go through pre-screening, but it was only checked for compatibility reasons, and thanks to that she is now HIV positive. Keegan.
You know, it's so heartbreaking. You know, you've gone to the hospital to seek to seek help, you know, and you, on top of it, you get another disease. You know, it's just like what happens, you know, in even places like Mbagathi Hospital, where when you go there with one disease, you get out with even more diseases. And I think the hospital, according to the report, is that they have refuted those claims, and they've said that the patient must have gotten the virus contracted the virus from somewhere else, and not through the blood. And you know, we can't now ascertain who is saying the truth, but I think the issue, this is not the first case I'm coming across it. There are many other cases, and I think we have to assign responsibility to the screening part, because when the Kenya National Blood Transfusion, the body that works with the transfusion, when they pick blood from somebody, they go and screen it first, you know, and they screen it for different diseases and for different conditions before even giving it to the hospitals. And when it gets to the hospitals, another screening now is done, now regarding to the patient who's supposed to the recipient of the blood, you know, the blood group and many other things. And at this stage, we usually forget now to screen for other diseases, you know, because you don't know this blood, the way it's being transported, maybe there's some bacteria or virus that it gets, you know, and the screening at the hospitals before transfusion is very important.
Okay, now let's move on to the Daily Nation on page 5. It reads, Matiang'i puts drug lords on notice, and he says those involved in drug business are not ordinary Kenyans but prominent people. Now, Dr. Fred Matiang'i visited Jamia Mosque yesterday, and in his visit he talked about many things, among them national security, and he also talked about the drug lords, and his statement that the people who are in this are prominent people. What does it say about the state of matters in our country?
You see, a month ago or two, we saw on the papers, Keegan, if you remember, a presidential candidate in the last general elections was arrested after being caught transporting cannabis worthy $1 million shillings. So you can imagine if a presidential candidate in a general election in a country like Kenya is involved and publicly caught transporting narcotics across the country, and it has been said, and you see the quotas that are saying this say they can be able to table evidence that most people who seek political positions seek the positions to protect the bad things that they're doing. We have money laundering and drug dealing as one of the biggest issues that need political connection. And you realize the president visited Mombasa and he said this time around there is no one who is going to access him on phone when he has an issue with either drug abuse or in indulging himself in activities related to drug selling, you know, and issues related to money laundering. Because money laundering and drug dealing are things that go hand in hand, because money comes in bulk, it needs to be changed into genuine cash. So people have to, you know, and I may agree with the CS Interior that most people involved in this business are people who come from prominent families. You've had cases, my brother Yusuf, of ambulances and police vehicles being used to transport drugs in various places. So you wonder who even gave instructions of the police van or ambulance to come out of the parking yard and drive along a street or along a road with drugs on board. So I believe it is powers or some people within the system who doing this at the expense of the future of young people of this country. So the fight against drug abuse and the drug dealing process, I want to support the CS Interior and the government entirely to make sure that we deal and get a hold of this menace entirely. I may want to hear of what the CS said more, but I believe this is the right direction to go as a country.
Okay. Now, Keegan, it says here, Dr. Matiang'i referred to investigations on 30 people linked to drug trafficking. I mean, 30 prominent people are in this. I mean, you can imagine people in power are involved in this. Should we be scared?
Yeah, we should be scared, and we should have been scared. And you know, I think the matter really, the cabinet interior, Matiang'i, I think he took up the issue more when the U.S. State Department, released a report of government officials and elected political leaders who are drug dealers down at the coast, and said that Kenya is a very big transit. And for those people who come to Mombasa, who come from Mombasa and the coast in general, they know of some people called Teja, Mateja. In Mombasa County itself, it has 38,000 Tejas. 38,000 drug addicts who don't even move. They're just there. In their own, in the small places they call Muscat. And 38,000 is, it's a very big number, a very heartbreaking number, and majority of them being youths, and something has to be done. And truth be told, gloves off, Mombasa is predominantly Muslim. And this is a Muslim problem, for that matter, to call it that way. And that is why the Cabinet Secretary of Interior was here yesterday in Jamia, to have talks with the Muslim leaders on how to fix these issues. And it's sad that some of the drug dealers are Muslims. And I think the Muslim community, for a time has come that we have to arise and say no to these things, and just like terrorism, we don't want anybody to sympathize with this kind of people, because these are the people who are destroying our future, especially the youths. And the tour by the Cabinet Secretary Interior came with goodies. We are seeing that Umma University will have its charter by the end of this month. It's very nice. And it was a great moment, when he had really addressed the issues with the immigration and registration, because we've had cases with Muslims in Kibra and in northeastern, not accessing IDs and many other things. And especially during Hajj, we've had people having problems with immigration, especially from northeastern. And it's great that we soon will have an immigration office in Garissa to address especially the issues on Hajj.
Very nice. Now, the Dr. Fred Matiang'i and Hilary Mutyambai came here yesterday. So right now we are going to take a look at the pictures of his visit. Let's take a look. That is the detail of the visit of Dr. Fred Matiang'i with his colleagues, the DPP and the IG for the National Police Service, Hilary Mutyambai. But that is just a trailer, because after this break, when we come back, an exclusive interview with Horizon TV with Dr. Fred Matiang'i and Hilary Mutyambai. And after that, Tech Tuesday begins. Don't go too far. Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah Show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV.
تبارك الذي نزل الفرقان على عبده ليكون للعالمين نذيرا.
Ni kitabu kitukufu.
Qur'ani ni kitabu ambacho cha miujiza
kilichoteremshwa kwa mpangilio.
Hazikuletwa harufu hizi za mkato moja kwa moja,
hakuna mfano wake,
na hamwezi nyinyi Makureishi kuwa ni wenye kutunga kitabu kama hiki, ingawa zimetumia harufu zile ambazo zimezitumia katika kuandika au katika kusema.
Miujiza yake Al-Malik.
Mwenyezi Mungu ana uwezo usiokuwa na kifano.
Ni malengo ya Qur'an.
Khazain zote za ardhi na samawati ziko mikononi mwake.
Sheikh Muhammad Badamana na uchambuzi wa Qur'an kwa undani kila Alhamisi saa 3 usiku kwenye Horizon TV.
Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are watching Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation. Now, a Horizon TV exclusive right here. We are delighted to have a very important guest as far as matters national security is concerned. I'm talking about none other than Dr. Fred Matiang'i. I understand that you are a very busy person and you have a busy schedule in front of you. How do you feel about your tour in the mosque and our studios so far?
Great. This is the first time I've entered Jamia Mosque.
Okay.
I always see it from outside. And I'm so grateful to the imams for, first of all, allowing me in, and then secondly, taking me around the mosque to see how the mosque looks like. I am actually shocked that it's so big. They say over 10,000 worshippers come here,
Yes.
you know, for worship, and sometimes in special circumstances like during Ramadan and the others, they probably host more than 10,000 people who come to worship here. It's a fantastic building. I did not know that it started in 1925, so
Yes,
that is also historic, as it were. But the whole setup reflects very impressive management, actually, and I must thank the Muslim leaders, particularly the imams, for what they have done. You know, there's this studio, and I've seen the administrative units around here and the way this is structured, which means it takes a lot of time to do a number of things. So the mosque is meeting more than just one purpose in this society, more than just the worship. It's addressing, you know, other needs of this society, and it's fantastic to see how it's maintained. And I can only imagine that great stuff continues to happen even during the week when there's no worship.
Yes, we definitely hope you can come back again and again to grace us with your presence. Now, your camera is right there.
Yeah.
I want you to face that camera and pass a message not only to the Muslim Ummah in our country, but globally and basically the Kenyan community at large, please.
What we have all learned over the years, because if you have grown up in a society like Kenya, you definitely have so many Muslim friends, Muslim brothers and sisters, either you have gone to school with, you work with, or you live with in the estates, as it were. What everyone needs to understand is that, first of all, we all know that Islam is a religion of peace. And for me, it's an amazing experience because I have Muslim colleagues in government I work with. And every day I look at their manners, I look at their respect for their religion, their principles, and their way of life. It's very educative and very impressive, really, when you look at how it supports social integration. We as government are focused on ensuring that all of us live in this country together, however we worship. And I want to thank our Muslim brothers for their continued support to not just the civilization of the country and the growth of our country, but the numerous activities that they engage in that develop our country. And I'm really grateful to the leaders. I know there are quite a number of Muslim leaders within the political environment and even those in government. I'm very grateful for what they do. And then now coming this close, getting into the mosque and interacting with them and where they worship, it's very attractive, to be honest with you, and I'm very encouraged by what I have seen. And I now fully probably understand even better the culture and the environment of the Islamic religion, as it were. And I would encourage fellow Christians, especially those who have not had a chance to come to the mosque, to come here. I've just asked the Imam that on occasion I'm going to come here for worship also to participate in the worshipings on Fridays, and I'll bring along my family, to come for worship. I'll come along with my wife so that I can participate in this wonderful community of peace and brotherhood that is interested in putting all of us together in love to live together in this society as a community.
Yes, and we also have an open day on the 26th of October, and we do welcome non-Muslims, everybody from any type of faith, to come and understand our religion, our culture, and everything that we do around here. So you're also welcome on that day as well.
I'll also encourage as many people as possible to come during the open day. Even that is news. I did not know you had an open day. So now that I know there's going to be an open day on 26th, I'll encourage so many Christians to come here during the open day, especially my colleagues in government, so that we understand Islam even better and understand our brothers and sisters of this faith even better.
Okay, that was Dr. Fred Matiang'i, and you only got that nowhere else but on Horizon TV, the beacon for the nation. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is me again now. Just a few minutes ago, Dr. Fred Matiang'i left, and now I have a colleague in the government. I'm talking about Hilary Mutyambai, the Inspector General of Police. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning to you.
Welcome to Horizon TV.
Thank you.
You're well. Now, talk to me about your tour of the mosque until you got here today. How is it?
I would like to be very frank. This is my first time to enter the mosque. But I would like to say that what I've seen is very welcoming in the mosque, from the fact that I never knew when I've been outside there. And I've seen quite a number of very attractive environment and friendly inside the mosque. I was puzzled by the number of people this mosque, Jamia Mosque, can accommodate. That's a big number. And secondly, I've realized this is one of the oldest buildings in this city. I equate it to the age of our High Court, the Kenya Railways. So it's one of monumental building we have in the city. I'm very impressed that more to learn, that I can also come in and there's a dedicated day for outsiders from the Islam, that they can come and join the Muslims colleagues and be together in the mosque. I'll also like to promise that I'll also get time and come with my family, awesome, particularly my wife, just to get that symbolic that all the religions in this country are represented in the National Police Service, the Islam, the Christianity, and I'll be very happy to be part of the community of Islam that particular time you welcome the outsiders.
Nice. Now let's talk about the relationship between the police service and the Muslims, or the police service and the Kenyan community at large.
Yes, I would like first to let you know that the National Police Service, yes, from internal part of it, embraces all the religions. We have equal numbers in the National Police Service of the Islam as compared to the Christian officers. We live very well. We are brothers and sisters within the service. With the police and the community, first and foremost, me as Hilary have a quite big number of friends from the Islam who have, in fact, I was making a joke to one of my friends, that is DPP. He brought me first present from Mecca of the Islamic gun, the white one. I have it in my house. That tells me that my closeness to the Islam community, I'd say it's very fantastic. Okay. However, I'm aware that there are some few inches between the police and the Islam, but particularly on the criminal side. But the relationship with the police and the Islam is very fantastic. I've had an opportunity to be in Coast, where I've seen that interaction very conducive. What is there is our understanding and working closely with the Muslim brothers. Where there are issues, the police is ready to understand and share the information with our brothers, so that we are guided by the information as we work together with the Muslim brothers, how to handle the issues of criminalities within the religion. I'm aware we have some few areas that we might have been quoted that our officers might not have worked well. This goes not on the policy of the National Police Service. We look at it as, and we treat it as a personal level of the officer, and the action has been always taken to those officers we consider them rogue, goes out of their way and create that wrong impression for the police. The position of the National Police Service, we handle all the Kenyans at an equal platform.
Very nice. Now, let's get your final message or parting shots to the Muslim community.
I would like to call my Muslim brothers and sisters, work close with the National Police Service, share information with the National Police Service. We want to partner with the Muslim brothers, particularly on the areas that are challenging, on the issues of terrorism. We are free, and my office, I'm running as an open policy office, where I'm ready to receive all the information my brothers and sisters from Islam would like to share, and we partner in the best way that we can work together without injuring the relationship. I would like to lead a National Police Service which is very close with all the Kenyans, including the Islam brothers. They feel their problem are properly addressed, and where they have information, they pass it to the nearest police stations. If you feel that you are more comfortable that you need to pass the information through the Inspector General, I'm open to receive that kind of information. But I would like to report that I'm doing very well with some of the leaders from the Muslim community. We have a very wonderful relationship, and I would like to see this one going deeper and deeper, reaching every brother and sister in Islam, that they feel their interests are accommodated in the National Police Service. And I will welcome that to see it more and more. Thank you.
Very informative right there from Hilary Musyobai. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. We are looking forward to the next visit on the 26th of October when we have the Islamic Open Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.
Ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban. You are watching the Sabah Show. Keep it locked right here on Horizon TV.
Rasulullah, Rasulullah.
Akawa Abdul Muttalib ampenda sana Mtume sallam hata kushinda watoto wake.